Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to discuss about the partitions of the table. So while creation of the table, we can create the partitions. What is the importance of the partition first of all? Actually, if you want to retrieve the data from the database, it will take a lot of time and it will take a lot of time to retrieve all the columns and then it has to filter and it will take a lot of time for analysis. Let us say, for example, if your table is having nearly 500 columns, and if you are retrieving only one column, in your query, we are using only one column or two columns. In that case, how can we get that particular data? And if you are filtering the data from number of times, if you are filtering the data based on some condition, let us say, for example, number of times you are retrieving the sales analysis store wise or the district wise or state wise. If you want to retrieve that analysis, then it is better to store all the Andhra Pradesh state records. They will be stored in one directory. Telangana records, they can be stored in one directory, and all the Maharashtra records, they can be stored in another directory. Meaning that based on the state column, we can divide the data and distribute the data onto different places, and you can store it so that whenever you give this condition, it will first choose the correct directory and retrieve all the records from that particular location only, so that it will speed up the process of searching. Okay, so the partitioning in the log files analysis to segregate the records based on the timestamp or data value to see the results day-wise quickly. Immediately you can get the day-wise, so that day-wise it is partitioned, and the customer or user details are partitioned by the country, state, department, or the fast retrieval of the subset of data, so that it can retrieve easily. And the sales records can be stored and partitioned based on the product type, country, and year, month, like that. So these are the various situations where we can use the partitions. Now, in general, if you create a schema, for that schema, it will create one database. Inside the database, it will create a folder for the table. Inside the table, there will be the data files. Okay, now if you create the partitions right hand side, on the right hand side for the same table, it creates two partitions, part one, part two. If it is created to only based on the two partitions, it will create the two partitions. Some records will be in the partition, some records will be in the partition two. That is depending upon our criteria or condition. Okay, so this is the table, that is the partitioned table. Now, how can we create the partitions? Hive organizes the tables in the partitions, and it is a way to divide the data under tables into horizontal way and partitioned into various folders based on the column and the value in that column combination. So partitions, they can be used to distribute the execution load horizontally, so that it will distribute. As I have explained, the each element will be stored in each type of the particular column will be stored in one particular directory, and the data is stored as the slices or parts. The query response time will be very faster, and if it is having, let us say, for example, here country equal to IN. So meaning that all the country equal to IN records will be stored in one directory completely. So instead of going to the other directories directly, it will verify country name, country equal to IN directory directly, and it will retrieve all the records from there. So this is the example for retrieving the data. It will make it easy to extract. So for that, how can we create this partitioned table? While creation of the table only, you can give the partition. So create external table, and as usual, you have to give the creation of the table. And at the end, you can give that partitioned by. and you can give the column name and the data type, and you can give any number of partitions so that they will create the subdirectories. And the important thing is whatever the column you are mentioning here, that should not be given as the regular column name. So if you are giving one, if you select one column as the partitioned column, that should be given in the partitioned by element only. You should not give in any others. Okay. And it organizes the tables into partitions. Already we have seen that that will be divided into that. Now the how to create the creation of the partition by column 1, column 2, column 3, and so on, and it can perform the partition on any number of columns so that it will be created the hierarchy of the directories so that it will maintain that. So it is creation of the partitioning. And then some applications analyze the log files for activity of internet. All these are the various things. And there are two types of partitions. This is important. That is the static partitioning and dynamic partitioning. These are the two kinds of partitioning. Okay, so static partitioning, if it is the static partitioning, then we have to load the data into that particular partition exclusively. So how to create that? First of all, how to create it? That is create table if not exists, and then you can give the all the details, and then you can see that here partitioned by. Actually, here we are creating the partition by job. For each job, it will create a subdirectory, and that particular job related records will be stored in that particular directory. Okay, so let us see that here it is a static partitioning. It will be decided at the compile time, meaning that you have to provide the data separately to each partition. So for that load data statement should be stored, should be given like this. Load data local in path of, you can give that, and then you have to mention the partition, in which partition you want to load this data. So that you have to give load data local in path of, you can give that, overwrite, and so on. And then partition of job equal to clerk. Into that particular partition, the data will be stored. So in this, you can see that once if you give that, there will be the number of directories are available here in the, see here, you can see that warehouse. In the warehouse, mydemo.db, my EMP partition is the table name. Inside that, there are subdirectories created: job equal to analyst, job equal to clerk, job equal to manager, job equal to president, job equal to salesman. Inside the analyst, what we have given here is job equal to clerk. Job equal to clerk, all these records will be stored in this particular record, in this particular directory only. Okay, so inside that there may be the partitions, there may be with the 0.000 like that, it will be having that. And dynamic partitioning, you need not give the separately, so that exclusively it will be taken automatically. So that for the dynamic partitioning, you have to give that, you need not change anything. Simply you have to give that partitioning of the table in a very simple manner. For the dynamic partitioning, what you have to give is, it is suggested to create the staging table, meaning that you have to load all the available data into one temporary table, and you have to load that data into the partitions separately by using the insert statement. You can see that insert or overwrite table of partition, particular partition job equal to analyst, and select EMP and O and all these from EMP table. From this, it will be taken. So all these elements will be inserted into my EMP partition table, into the analyst, job equal to analyst, so that it will be stored. Actually, it is the static partitioning only, because we are giving the job equal to analyst separately. Okay, so what we have to do is, we have to make it completely dynamic partitioning without mentioning the mm, job name, so that simply you can understand that here uh, insert or override table, simply you can observe that we are giving just the partition column name, we are not giving more than that. And select all these we are giving, and then so that it will be created. Only the thing is, it will be failed because we have not set the dynamic partition. So that we have to set one property, set hive.exec.dynamic.partition.mode equal to non-strict. Then you can use this same statement so that it will be executed successfully, and these records, all the records will be stored in the corresponding partition. Okay, so this is the partitioning concept. And bucketing. See, partitioning means it will create the separate directories. Simply, we can say that bucketing means it will create the separate files. Okay, so that that can be represented with the clustered by. It will make the analysis and the retrieving of the data more easy. For that, what you have to do is set hive enforce that bucketing equal to true. That can be represented with the clustered by column name. So that you can give that, you can see that example, set hive.enforce.bucketing equal to true, and then you are creating that, we are creating with the partitioned by and also a clustered by. Partitioned by job and clustered by department number, so that it is having the both the partitioning and also bucketing. Both are available. If you observe what is the data set available, so we have to make that partitions. Hive.exe dynamic partition equal to true. We have to do that, and then we have to give the dynamic partition true, and then the set hive.partition mode is non-strict, and we have to bucketing into true, and then we can go with that, so that it will clearly mention that how many number of buckets are created, meaning that how many number of department members, and then the partitions, how many partitions are created, all this information will be given. So that will be given clearly. Okay, this is the partition information, this is the bucket information, and then loading the data into bucketed table. This is similar to that, loading data, load data as usual. That is by using the insert statement. As I mentioned you, it is better to go with the staging table. From the staging table, we can load that into that, so that it can be loaded into the corresponding partitions and buckets. Okay, so bucketed tables, how the bucketed tables are created, you can observe that job equal to analyst, this is the partitions. So based on the job, it is created, and from that, inside the job equal to clerk, it is created number of files. These files are buckets. These files are the buckets, meaning that clustered elements, so that it is the bucketing concept. So partitioning and bucketing. So creation of the staging table for the bucketing, we can create the staging table, intermediate table, and then we can insert that data into the original table by using the insert data, so that we can go with that. So this is the concept of the partitioning of the table. Thank you.